always seems confident. That dude brings recruits to play ping pong. That's a confident guy. You know, Urban Meyer brings them to the strip club, and then they commit a murder later in life. But you know, Urban Meyer's won national championships, and
you can argue with that, right?
And Mark Richt's never, you know, he's trying to get that SEC back.
Well, we'll interrupt you, but here's why. You know, you got to give props to Mark Richt. He will suspend a player. He'll suspend his best player on a disciplinary violation, and he just it's flat out, well, you won't play. I mean, Mark has a standard of saying we're molding men. We're not winning championships. We're making that's what college football was meant. And used to. Oh, as a fan, I hate it. As a fan, I wish the man would go out there and get some thugs off the street and pick everybody's pocket. But as a Georgia resident, I can say we may not win championships, but we graduate good men. I mean, you got to look at our boy just right down the road. I mean, he suspended good players.
Now we're talking about Washawn Elam.
Washawn, all respect to him, but he got there in Georgia and couldn't get with the program, and it cost him. That's why he's not there at Georgia anymore. And I think
now Washawn went on to Jacksonville State, where I think now he's trying to get on the NFL.
And he may. I wish him all the best. I don't want to take anything away from him. Wish the boy the best. Wish the man the best. But I'm just pointing out what Rick does. So, all right. So I say Georgia. I think Georgia, if they can get through, to me, if they can get through this schedule,
I feel like
they should be in the top three. But I don't think they'll make it if.
So do you think, would you, as a Georgia fan, now you were a Georgia fan, as a Georgia fan, Ohio State plays their schedule, goes undefeated, no team becomes a ranked team, they just blow through it, maybe get a couple squeakers, win by field goal here, field goal there. Georgia goes through the season, plays hard all season, maybe loses to Florida, beats South Carolina, beats Clemson, maybe loses to Florida, by a squeaker, 3-point game, goes the rest of the season. Maybe Florida at the end of the season loses to South Carolina. Georgia gets the SEC East, beats Alabama.
That ain't gonna happen. But if that happens,
but beats Alabama,
then they should be number one.
Say Alabama lost one game, which was to Georgia at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Georgia lost a game to Florida. Ohio State here goes undefeated.
And they'll be number one.
Should you see a Alabama-Georgia rematch?
It won't happen, but
as a college football fan, do you want to see Ohio State, Braxton Miller, very good talent, huge guy, go up against that Alabama defense or a Georgia defense per se? I mean, as a Georgia fan, what do you want to see?
I mean, if the scenario you described happened, Georgia should play Ohio State. I mean, that's just
they shouldn't play Alabama.
Not again, because they'd already beat them. They shouldn't have to replay.
We did watch a couple years ago. We watched that LSU Alabama game again.
Well, but that was not back-to-back replays. That was not SEC championship, then national championship.
It was close.
Well, there was a lot of games. There were 3 or 4 games in between there. So you're talking about two different things here. And remember, Alabama and LSU are in the same division.
They are in the West.
They're in the West. So that's a different scenario.
So does the national championship game maybe end at the SEC championship in your mind?
I think the SEC has the best teams in the nation, but that's just me. I'm an SEC fan.
Well, it's been proven.
It's been proven. Yeah, we won't disagree on that. All right, so let's move on because we're running out of time here, and the beer's getting hot. All right, so what do you think? You think Bama number 1, Ohio State number 2? You think that's how it's going to end? What do you see?
I think I keep saying Oklahoma. I think Ohio State's going to lose. I think that Urban Meyer should have lost a couple games last year. I think this year it catches up to him. Maybe Braxton Miller goes down in the game. He didn't have a quarterback to come back and replace him. Ohio State's going to lose. Oregon, they do have their quarterback coming back. I can't remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? Mata. Anyhow, their quarterback, he's really, really fast. He's really good. They probably won't go undefeated. They have to play a murderer's row out there. UCLA, probably Stanford. They have Utah, which is always a tough game. Tennessee, which is an SEC game. They might go in there and roll right through them.
Virginians don't stink, man.
Virginia, the Commodores, they're not bad, but the trap games come, in my opinion, at UCLA, and then they have a bye week, and then they go to Stanford. So I think they lose one of those games. Stanford, they just got a tough preseason schedule, and if it stays the same way, they'll lose a game. There's just no way around it. They always tend to do. And then Georgia, like we talked about, they have a pretty tough schedule. Texas A&M, I think Johnny Football I think the stuff surrounding him in the offseason is just too much for them to overcome.
All right, so
that's top 5. I mean, then you add Texas A&M 6 or 7.
So Ohio State's going to lose one. Oregon's going to lose one. Stanford's probably going to lose one. You think Georgia may go undefeated? You hope they don't because you're a Florida fan.
I think Georgia loses at the beginning of the season, first 2 games.
That's tough. That's typical, but it's tough. Let's hope they don't. Let's hope they get in line. But if Georgia,
you hope they don't.
You know what I'm saying? So
I think that normally they get it right towards the top, but I also think that this year there could be a lot of losses because the talent pool is getting even. The big schools are still recruiting well. The small schools are starting to recruit a little better. I think maybe it goes Bama, Oregon, South Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina. Louisville, in my opinion, could go undefeated. I think Louisville, if they don't lose, they just shoot right up to the top.
Here's the thing: Louisville should not. I mean, they're playing nobody, and I believe they're going to wind up going undefeated, and they're going to wind up in the top 5.
They typically lose a game, but say they do go undefeated, you normally have the pollsters and the voters, and the computers normally don't like a Louisville as much as they like an Alabama.
That's right.
So you theoretically could have a Louisville, Ohio State national championship.
You know when that would suck, I got to tell you.
Well, and to my opinion, it wouldn't be that bad because then you'd have an Urban Meyer facing a Charlie Strong.
Come on, that's not going to be the game that it was. That's not going to be the game.
Would you rather see Ohio State, Louisville, a very competitive, very awesome? You had these underlying storylines, former coaches together. Now they're coaching against each other. Maybe something comes out, pre-game, pre-week. Hey, Urban Meyer says this about Charlie. He shouldn't be here. Charlie says this about Urban Meyer. Maybe he was the guy who kind of led Aaron.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that on a Saturday, but not on the national championship.
But think about the last couple national championship games. You got the Alabama Notre Dame game.
Shouldn't have happened. Snooze fest. I'll agree.
You know what? And the national championship, the better game was the week before when Georgia played Alabama.
That was
all the way to the 5-yard line. Georgia blew it. Alabama won. Great game. The year before that, you have Alabama LSU. Nobody wanted to see that shit. I watched it. I got a little drunk that game, It was a field goal game. It was a let's kick field goals. And then Alabama plays them a rematch. Snooze fest. Bam, blow them out. Bye, LSU. So in my opinion, it would break the streak of consecutive SEC national titles. But it might be a better game. It might be a better game.
I won't disagree with you. Game-wise, it might be better, but it's not best for the game. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's the best thing for the game.
Well, we got what's best coming for the game. There's going to be a playoff system.
Playoff system that'll eliminate a lot of our.
That'll eliminate a Louisville because of their last season success. Going into number 9 team.
And then moving all the way up to number 3 and wait for
even
somebody
Ohio
to fall
State.
out.
Yeah, like I said, even Ohio State.
That's right.
That'll eliminate, it'll make it where the teams that are the best play each other. And you figure it out.
So the first game of the year, what's the game everybody should watch? This going to be the best game.
I think the first game of the year is the Alabama Tech. That's on August 31st.
Well, Georgia's playing Clemson the first game.
Well, what day?
But I don't
check
know.
that out because August 3rd. In literally 11 days, Virginia Tech and Alabama face off.
Well, let's see. Georgia is going to play Clemson here on
the 31st.
The 31st,
and that's at 8 p.m. Okay, so maybe they all start on the 11th. But I've always thought there was a. Is that a Saturday? I always thought there was a Thursday kickoff game.
You know, and there may be. We didn't write that down, but Saturday, I think Saturday's the first game. There is a Thursday kickoff game. There'll be somebody playing. I don't know who it is, but
maybe the Georgia Clemson game is the game to watch.
Yeah, the Saturday, that's the game to watch. That's the only ranked. That's the two ranked teams.
I mean, it's prime time.
That's
ABC,
prime time.
8
ABC 8:00, and so I'm assuming you're going to take Clemson there.
What's your prediction? What do you think?
You know, looking at it, I believe Georgia is going to win by a touchdown.
What makes you believe Georgia comes in to Clemson and wins by a touchdown? Give me your reasoning. Got to give it to me.
You know, I got to say that because
is it homerism?
It's homerism.
It's homerism.
It's home. I mean, I want it not. I mean, you know, Clemson may have the better offense. Georgia's defense has struggled. The secondary has struggled. But I believe that Mark Richt has made a few adjustments. I believe he's going to do well. So I'm picking Georgia by 7.
Just knowing what I know a little bit about Clemson, I believe they have a pretty good running back over there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Been busy with work a lot lately and graduating school. Hooray for me. But I think Georgia has a good shot of going into the ACC and knocking them off. Typically, it always seems to roll out. Georgia struggles at the beginning of the year.
They do.
So,
they do.
You know, they struggle and they get better. You never know what they're going to be. Mark Richt, pretty sure he's maybe suspended or they have somebody hurt. I don't know why we didn't look that up. To me, I think it's an up in the air thing. I think Georgia could go in there and win by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. They get rolling. They get confident. You never know.
They've got to start off early.
And Clemson could come in there and start off big, and next thing you know, the Tigers are rolling, and Georgia's season from there, if you ask any Georgia fan, just went downhill. How did we lose to Clemson?
Downhill.
So, you know, it's a super game.
Super important. I'll tell you this. If Georgia loses to Clemson, they're going to lose to Florida. I mean, they're going to lose South Carolina next. And
you don't see a rebound.
We don't rebound. We'll beat North Texas, but we may lose to LSU. And Tennessee will be tough. If we lose to Clemson, I believe we'll lose to South Carolina. That's just me. I mean, I don't want to be.
All ball coach. He smells blood.
He does. And I mean, you mark my words. Every weakness that shows up in the Clemson game will be exploited to the max in the Carolina game.
Oh, that and then you got Jadeveon Clowney saying that the quarterback for Georgia, Aaron Murray, scared of him. You know, Jadeveon Clowney is a monster of a man. And he's saying that the Georgia quarterback's scared of him. So a lot of hype going into that game.
There is. And you know what, though? I'll say this. We didn't mention it before, but we've got some good, strong quarterbacks behind Aaron Murray. I was surprised he came back. Glad he came back. But a little surprised that he came back this year. And I think he's he's needing a breakout season really to show some NFL abilities. And I think he's going to have it. He's got to have it. And But if we have the kind of season that I worry we might have, I think his prospects for the NFL just went completely down. So.
Overall, I don't like Georgia. Don't like them. I don't like Georgia fans most of the time. I have to like you, you're my father. But I feel like Clemson goes in, gets up by a score or 2, Aaron Murray calms down, shakes off the first game jitters, and Georgia comes back to win the game. I hate doing it, hate picking them, but I think that's what's going to happen. I just have a feeling Clemson's a good team. Georgia's a little better. I do believe Georgia loses the next game, however, to South Carolina. But I agree with you too. If Clemson wins, somehow they win, Georgia loses the next week to South Carolina, and then I believe that it just goes downhill from there. Maybe they pick up, and in a Georgia fan's eyes, they beat Florida. That revives the whole season. They could care less what they do from there. But if they lose the first 2 games, let's hope that don't happen.
It'll be game over. So listen, we're just about out of time. The beer's hot, and but we thank you guys for listening.
The beer's empty.
The beer's empty. Thank you guys for listening. Next week, we're going to focus on the NFL, or next show, rather. We're going to focus on the NFL. We're going to look at some of the preseasons going on in the NFL. You stay tuned. This is Two Men and a Beer, and we're glad you're here.
That's Scott Cochran. I'm Jason Cochran. School's out, folks. I'm just going to do